Previously on Devo's Garage, we started working on the fuel system. Pulling apart, getting the... Oh, dropped that one. We got a new governor spring in there. Then we swapped in a new fuel pin. Took off the old lift pump, got the new lift pump put in. Dropped some new injectors in there, got the lines installed. Did a little test fit on the manifold and new turbo. And then finished up with modifying the downpipe. In this episode, we did a little bit of a quick repair, got everything all mounted up in place, got to try to get this thing to start, finally got it to run, and took it out for a little drive. So sit back with your cozy drink, and let's get into it. As you can see, just finishing draining the coolant because, unfortunately, ended up dealing with, I noticed a nick in a hose over here on the trans heat exchanger hose. You can kind of see it there. When I was messing around getting the turbo drain all figured out, I noticed that little nick and I figured the most opportune time now is to change it out while this stuff is still all off and out of the way and nothing's been dealt with, because I know it's got me a little worried, just in case it pops one day driving down the road. That'd be no good. So just letting the coolant finish draining there, and I got some hose to replace that. Swapped out quick, and then we can pull this manifold back off, get the gaskets in there, get the turbo mounted, get the downpipe in there. Turbo drain is ready to go. Got that sitting over here. We're actually able to use the OEM turbo drain from the original turbo. Just had to do a little bit of clearancing right about there so that it could clear the wastegate. But no, it's going to be good to go. I'm just waiting for my turbo feed line to show up, and we'll be golden. But let's replace that little guy before it becomes a problem. Alright, my glue. I swear this stool's trying to murder me. Oh, that thing is even pretty ballooned up anyways, considering it should be about that size. Yeah, there's that little tear right there. stool. Oh my goodness. So we got the turbo on here, mounted up. As you can see, looking all pretty in there. Manifolds on, turbos on. We got the downpipe on, turbo drains on there. We're just waiting for our new feed line to show up. A couple more things to button up on this side. Got to put the sensor and plug in the manifold. I gotta still fill it with some coolant. Then we can move back over to that side and finish putting the throttle linkage and all that kind of stuff back on. And then we can try to bleed this the fuel system and see if this thing will fire up. Hopefully I got the index mark on the pump set right and we don't have to take it back off or take the throttle linkage back apart and put that back together, but we're making some good progress. I'm loving the way this turbo looks on there. Nice and shiny, the manifold looks good, everything's fitting nicely. Alrighty, so we've got her back together on this side. Got the linkage all back on, fuel lines on, all tightened on this side. Left the ones loose over here on top of the injectors for when we go to bleed it, which I think I'm ready to do. I will still have to mess around with my fuel screw at some point here. Once we get it bled, we'll get this intake pipe back on and start messing around with it a little bit. I'm leaving the intake off for now so that if anything happens and it feels like starting to run away, we can, not with my hand of course, we'll put a block of wood or something to block off that intake so we can shut it off. But yeah, I think we're just about ready to get this thing fired back up again, which I'm pretty excited for. So yeah, gonna get these injectors bled here and fingers crossed this thing still runs after I did a whole bunch of shit to this thing. Because we got to get this thing ready to go because I've only got, realistically, only a few days left to get this thing up and running so I can go grab my camper, get it ready for hijinks so we can haul it out there for my car club's car show. But kind of got to get this thing running before we can do that, so join me in that process. So from what I'm told, this will be my first time doing it. You leave your lines on top of your injectors loose, and then basically just crank it over until fuel starts squirting out of there, and then you can tighten them up and see if it runs after that. So at least for tonight, we're gonna just get them bled and go from there. So we gotta hook up the battery, which is probably dead.
it might be okay. But because we're probably going to be cranking around for a bit, I'm going to grab my little booster and put it on there as well, just so it cranks over a little bit easier.
There. I think the keys are in the truck. You're in park. Jesus, that spins over really fast. I don't know if that's a good or bad thing. We're going to take off the booster pack for a second just so it doesn't spin too fast.
Any fuel come out? I saw something happening. I don't know if that was just air coming out or...
Not too many fuel came out yet. Okay, so definitely gonna need the booster pack on it. Any way for you to not like be super crazy? Oh, what I'm seeing is stuff coming out that hole that I haven't plugged off yet. So I'm not sure if I'm going to just put the plug or the sensor in, because I have another sensor. Maybe my fuel screw needs to be in a bit more? Probably. Let's try threading that in a little bit and see what happens. Let's try that. Ooh.
I don't see any fuel yet. Not ideal.
I know I primed it at the pump down here till it got to the fuel filter, and then, you know, the pump, but I guess it does have to fill all those lines, but you know, you figured it would go pretty quick. Well, we'll try a couple more times at least until this thing's dead, and then we'll try something else. Fingers crossed. Alright, well, the booster pack's dead, and so is the battery. Yeah, right, well, guess we'll come back and try this another time. Because you're dead now. And you're also dead. And we didn't get fuel out of it.
So, until next time, which will be actually pretty quick. For you, at least. We got the injectors to bleed. I had to do some pumping on the primer for the pump on the over there on the engine. The lift pump, that's the one. Primed that a bunch more. I cracked the filter. Plenty of fuel there, so I just sat there and just fucking primed it for a bunch until I started hearing noises coming out of the lines. And I was like, okay, maybe that's enough. And yeah, we just got to prime, and I just attempted to try to start it, but it did not start. So I had to figure out why. Whether it might have maybe my throttle index off, or potentially I might need to move my fuel screw in a bit more. Not entirely sure. This is my first time around working on one of these things, so one step at a time, we'll get there. But yeah, well, let's see what we can figure out here.
All right, so I'm an idiot and I wasn't filming it, but it actually runs. I was just a pussy and didn't have my screw in far enough, I guess. Had my buddy over here, Chris, helping me out. But here, let's see if it actually runs a second time. And this time I'll capture it on video. Buggy mint. So we got it running. Pretty happy about that. The turns out, I should have had my fuel screw turned in a little bit further. I was a little bit worried about it. Didn't want to go in too far and have it run away, but I guess that was causing more grief than anything because it wasn't really putting as much fuel to the injectors to actually get it to run. I was able, like when I was bleeding it, it was bleeding fine, but it just actually wasn't enough to start the engine. So that's why I just spun over and spun over and spun over. I spent 2 nights trying to get it to go, basically until my battery and booster died. I would, try and try, and then when it's done, I was like, well, I guess we'll call it a night. Try again tomorrow. Because I'd work the next day and all that kind of stuff, right? I had Chris over here yesterday. He just wanted to come hang out for a little bit and see what's up. And I was like, I have a job for you. Could you crank it for me? And I was just going to try to bleed it again. I had actually, just before that, I brought my borescope from the shop home so I could look inside my injection pump and see how that lever looked for the fuel screw. Because I was a little worried maybe one of the fears in my back of my head was I might have broken it and that's why I wasn't getting enough fuel. So to be sure, I just grabbed my borescope, pulled the screw out, shoved the borescope in there, and took a look, and the lever was still there. So I was like, all right. And then by that point, I was just starting to thread it in, and my buddy Chris stopped by, and he was wanting to see how things were going. He lives not too far from here, so we just wanted to kind of help out a little bit, hang out for a minute. I had him crank it for me when I got the screw in far enough. I was like, you know what? We'll just tighten a little bit more than from where I thought was where it needed to be. Turns out, after threading it in, that's where it needed to be to start. Wasn't expecting it. I had cylinder 1 cracked. Just getting him to like, all right, let's try to prime this again and see maybe, basically start from the beginning, move on. And it fired up while that one was still open, and it shot fuel all over the hood and everywhere. And I was like, whoa, stop. He's like, it's good. I was like, no, turn it off. I wasn't expecting it to start. It actually surprised me. The one time I'm not filming, doing anything on here, is when it actually fires up and surprises me. So had him shut it off, tighten down the injector, and then that little clip that I had just before this popped up. I was like, all right, let's actually film it running. And yeah, fired up, and I was like a champ so far. So now I'm going to finish putting the intake on this side. Got the intake pipe to put on. Got the boost pipe on this side to finish up. I've got the put back the grid heater, put that thing back together. And then I still got to bleed the cooling system, finish bleeding that. I just kind of filled it with the funnel. but I haven't actually bled the whole system, let it run and get up to temp and whatnot and get all the air out of there. So we're going to be backing this thing out after I get all this stuff buttoned up. Put the funnel back in on the rad and yeah, get her a little bit bled and maybe go for a drive and start kind of tuning the pump a little bit. So I don't know how much I really need to tune it, but you know, there's always got to be a little bit of watching the EGTs and stuff like that, and I don't want to have a bunch of smoke coming out of it, so I'll turn it down a little bit. And then yeah, so today is Saturday. I have still, you know, finished up this stuff, so I should be able to get this all done today. And then I want to go get my camper tomorrow, as long as this all goes well, and bring it to the shop, get it all ready to go for camping next week, because Friday I drive out to the fort to Echo for our car show. So excited to actually have this thing out there and going, because I have been stressing out trying to get this thing running, especially those last couple of nights. Whew. Oh, I was worried. If anything happened, like especially with that lever, like that was in the back of my head. I think like if this would have been broken, that would have been it. The truck wasn't going to be making it, and I wasn't going to be pulling my trailer out there, because I just wouldn't have had time to have it all fixed and sorted by then, and then still get everything ready. So, and I still have to finish my poker rally as well for it, because I run the poker rally that we do. So it's a little jaunt around the lake. I have a whole sheet of questions and stuff like that. There's a path to follow, and you got a bunch of questionnaires on it, answers to questions, and whichever ones you get right gives you a draw for a card. I think I have it up to like 7 cards, 6 or 7 cards. So it's just more than a hand, just so that you can make a good hand out of it if you can. So the more you get right, the better odds you'll have a good hand. And for this year, I've already done my one trip out there to kind of map out my thing, but I just gotta finish moving around some questions, take some ones from old times, add a couple new ones, change it up a little bit, make it more fun for people. Actually, just 1 second, I'm gonna grab the part of the award that people get for it. So, this thing I cut out on the Wazer the other couple days. Beginning of the week? Yeah, beginning of the week. It was like Sunday, Monday. So this is also something I was trying to get done. So this is what I cut out on the Wazer. I'll have a video up of it at some point. It is, try to get this in a nice spot. It's a Royal Flush. I'll cut out what is this? What is this? 06? Yeah, 06 inch stainless. Cut out on the Wazer. So, but this was the second attempt, because the first attempt, the solenoid for the abrasive feed was starting to stick and wasn't feeding enough abrasive through, and wasn't actually penetrating all the way through and shooting out, and it was causing a bunch of grief. This is the second time, and it even had a bunch of issues where it cut out the first one, didn't quite cut out this one, and then further on to it, until I noticed it, and I was like, oh no, it's not actually shooting, it's just shooting water at it instead of shooting sand. And so yeah, I gotta fix that still, but I was able to actually get it to cut out by just forcing that solenoid open, leaving it unplugged, and being like, alright, I just need it to cut, please just cut this out. So this will be going on a plaque that the winner of the poker rally will get. So yeah, I'm excited for next weekend, and we'll go from there. But yeah, still got a few things left to do on this, so let's get to it. Alrighty, time to take this old unit out for its first maiden voyage with the new turbo, manifold, injectors, lift pump, governor spring, new fuel pin, valve springs, and head bolts. So
we kind of did a whole bunch. And yeah, it seems to be working all right. We're going to make a run to the shop so I can give the engine bay a bit of a wash and throw out some garbage I got in the back of the truck there. You kind of see the junk back there. Might as well. But yeah, come join me. I'm going to film the little thing on the way there. We're going to see how it looks afterwards. Let's go. Hold on a tick. Where are my sunglasses? Actually, we'll just run out front and grab them from my car. Ah, the lovely sound of the diff. Click, click, click. There's the diff. It's nice to be driving this old unit again. Fingers crossed it actually drives nicely. So far seems to be doing good. Actually, I'll be right back. I think I forgot something in the garage. Alright, we're good to go. Quarter throttle. Accelerates way faster already, so that's a bonus. Turbo sounds great. Hit 22 pounds of boost there. Woo! Alrighty. Oh, it made it to the shop, so that's definitely a good sign.
That's all for this video series. If you've made it this far, I appreciate you hanging out while I was wrenching away on the old first gen. It was a fun project to take on, and I'm really happy with the results. stay tuned for the next series where I start work on an old project that's been neglected for far too long. Until then, take care and enjoy some cruising back to town. Thanks for watching, and we'll catch you in the next one.